Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. So today I have something very special for you. I have KITT on the workbench, and if you've read the video title and you've seen the video thumbnail, you know what's coming. We have some goodies from the master of mods, Mike Lane. So we have the ultimate electronic dash kit for KITT. And I'm going to do a full install video for you. Now, obviously, I finished KITT. KITT is complete. Now, a lot of you are probably in the same position as this, where you have a completed model, you've seen the shiny new mod from Mike Lane, and you've thought, I really don't want to take KITT apart again. I don't want to disassemble the model in case I break something. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to disassemble a model after you've built it, and maybe you will go along to Mike Lane and get one of these ultimate dash kits, which I've seen the videos, they're absolutely brilliant. So I'll do a quick unboxing as well. But the primary thing for this is I'm going to show you how to disassemble KITT and how to rebuild him with the ultimate dash kit. Now, there will be some differences probably from my model to your model, mainly because I've already got some side marker lights in, which I'm going to have to remove in favor of adding the ones from the Mike Lane kit. Also, the rear marker lights, same again, I'm going to have to take those out in favor for Mike Lane's ones. I've got the little switch that I put in to modify the headlights popping up and down, so we didn't have the headlights on and all the other external lights on, etc. So all that's going to get changed, and that's going to be a fairly simple change because I've only plugged it into the circuit board, so it's just an interrupt. But with the Mike Lane kit, you still have the option of turning the lights on and off, whether the headlights on or the fog lights on, etc., which is great. The other modification that's probably going to be different, if you've not already done it, I've got the model mods screens in this one. So obviously the Mike Lane dash, the model mod screens are not going to be compatible with that, and we do have the monitors with the ultimate dash kit as well. So all that's going to come out. But obviously, first things first, we need to disassemble KITT. Now, if you've been watching the channel enough, you know I'm not adverse to stripping a model apart once it's been completed. So I've taken apart the DeLorean, I've destroyed the DB5, and then rebuilt it again. And you can check that out on the channel because it is now finished. But we're now at a process where we're going to be disassembling this one. So let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop. Tools are ready to play. We're gonna build something great. Starting here today. Piece by piece we go now.
Right, we have these goodies from Mike Lane. Now we do have this little thank you card. And we get one of these every single time we order something from Mike Lane. We've also got a little note this time, and I can pause that, or you can pause it and and you can read it. But it's basically just about the dash itself and what he's done for the kit, etc. We have door lock pins, and they're looking just like that. They're all stainless steel and hopefully will not snap like the die cast ones that we've got with KITT. We've also got the dashboard monitors, and I have to say, I always love Mike Lane's packaging. The bright yellow and everything looks brilliant, and we've got a little bit of a quote in there from KITT. Well protected, obviously, nice bit of foam there, and carefully remove that. So you can see we've got the monitors there, we've got the lower console, and we've got all the circuitry behind there. And we've also got a new set of bezels for the front of the dashboard as well. So just going to pop those back in there, keep them nice and safe until we actually need them. But this is the ultimate part of this. So we have another little quote in there. And there's a very apt quote, I think. So we have here all the electronic parts. We have the new alpha circuit. We have the new dash with all its SMDs. That's the new scanner. Not quite sure on that one. I think that's the startup. Yeah, that would be the startup lights at the front of KITT, and this is the lower console, I believe. So we've got all the electronics there in an anti-static bag, keep them all nice and safe. We have the new uprated dashboard, and as you can see, there's lots of light blocking at the back. We have another bag of smaller goodies. So we have lower console. We have the different coloured scanner, I suppose visors. Means we can switch between KITT and car. And we've even got a clear one there. I believe that KITT even comes now with a disco mode. We have some cables, just say spare cables, but it's got dash, scanner, etc. Looks like we've got some adhesive strips. We have a new part. This is going to be the top startup sequence lights. And we have a very tiny little clip there as well, or bracket. And I'm sure all will become apparent of what these are when we come to actually install it. We also have an SD card there with an SD card extension. We have little instructions there, music and standard controls. Just tells you all of the things that KITT will do and how you control it. Now, we do have more goodies in here as well, as you can see. We have some more cables. We have some new LEDs. We have a lot more cables, including a USB-C power cable. We have a brand new speaker. And we have the remote control. Beautifully engraved, laser etched with the Knight Industries logo. So that is everything we have. But right now, we need to do some disassembly. Now, there's a few things you can do to prepare for disassembling a model. If you don't already have them, one of these. This is a pillbox, effectively. Got lots of little different compartments. What I tend to do is just put bits of tape on here, and then as I undo things, then I'll just mark which screw it is and then put them into each individual container. That way, you can just go back through the instructions, reassembling, using the screws that you've got labelled in here. I did the exact same thing for the DB5, and that's all gone back together absolutely fine, and I didn't have any spare screws left over. So, good job on that. So, that's what I'm going to do. Another thing you can prepare is by getting your magazines. Now, you won't have to have every single magazine, just the parts you're actually disassembling. Now, obviously, 110 is the primary one here at the minute, because obviously this is the final one where we assembled everything. So we need to undo this. It shows us removing those bits, removing all the XM screws that we put in underneath, obviously not forgetting this BP screw that secures the seat belts. And then once that's done, we can actually take the body off KITT and undo all these wires. Once that's done, we will have the KITT body and KITT chassis completely separated. That obviously then gives us access to the alpha circuit after removing bits at the back. So that's going to be fairly painless. And then we've only got 4 screws that hold the dash, the center part or the interior to the primary chassis frame. We've also got the little universal joint for the steering, and then that whole section should come out as well. But then we need to disassemble the dash even further for that one. So 110, if you have finished, as I say, is going to be your first Bible as it is to actually get all this disassembled before you can disassemble the sub-assemblies, etc. The other thing I highly recommend you need is a nice soft cushion. Obviously, we are going to be tipping KITT upside down to get to the screws underneath, and we are probably going to be doing that a few times, and we're going to have all the body panels where we're going to probably move KITT around a bit. We need to take off the front nose cone. At the very least, we need to take off the front wings, and I think we need to take the rear wings off as well. I'm pretty sure we do need to do that because I need to fit the new door lock pins. So there's going to be a lot of bodywork bits that are going to come off KITT. So a soft cushion, towel, something like that, just to protect all the bodywork is an essential item. Now, right now, we are ready to get cracking for disassembling KITT. So before I flip him upside down, we are going to remove the BP screws that are holding the seat belts to the seats. So just the one BP screw there. And we can take that out. Now, when it comes to reassembling this, I've actually decided I'm not going to put the belts back in. You very rarely saw them in use or at all in the show. And to be fair, I think they just look a little bit untidy. So first screw out, and that's going to be a BP screw. So we'll just mark this one BP. Going to undo the same one on this side. Now, so I don't have the gap, I will put these little seatbelt retainers back on, but the seatbelts will be removed. I'll shut the doors. And then this is the point where we do need to tip KITT upside down. Obviously, when doing this, watch out for the trunk lid and the T-tops. Obviously, they are both plastic, and it would be a shame to snap it at this point. So just make sure that when you do it, obviously you could tape these down. The trunk lid or boot lid does actually hold itself quite well with the clip. So something to be wary of when tipping KITT upside down. Right, so we've got KITT back on his roof. Now you notice that I've actually wound the windows down, just again to help protect those. We need to remove these 2 seals first. So they just pop out, like so. Now the other thing I haven't said about actually is if you've got any body parts and things and you don't have a big workbench like I do with lots of space on it, a box is always useful as well, where you can keep the parts safe and separate until such time as you need to put them back together. I believe we've got 8 XM screws in total. It's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 at the back here. Just move KITT over a little bit, get it central on the camera. So I'm not putting these in any order as such. When I put them in the screw box, I'm just doing them as they come out. Now, obviously, I'm not going to make you watch me undo a million screws, so I will be cutting out certain bits, like me undoing several screws. This is primarily to show you, one, the install process for Mike Lane's dash, but also to show you that it is possible to remove bodywork and take apart a model even after you completed it. Now, anyone that's done the DeLorean will know that that probably filled me with dread when I thought, okay, I need to take that one apart again, because the DeLorean was an absolute pain to actually put together originally. But doing it a second time, I realised that it wasn't as bad as I thought, mainly because I'd done it before and I knew what was doing, and the things to look out for. Right, so the bodywork now is pretty much ready to come off. So we do need to flip KITT back over. You can actually see my light switch there in a minute. Again, that's going to be removed. This power jack is also going to get removed. So both of those items are no longer required. Mike Lane's got a power mod within his dash mod, so that would be powered by USB-C. Obviously, I've only done the battery cover here, but I'll just take those 2 parts out and just leave those holes in place. Might even be something that I can use for something else, the holes anyway. But we now need to flip KITT back over. Now, if I remember rightly, all the wires are coming out pretty much on this side. So just going to need to do a little bit of wiggling to get this body off. And almost forgot, we need to disassemble, just take off that single pipe that's in there. In fact, that pipe's come off both ends, but that was attached to the side of the vehicle there. And when doing this, the same as when assembling it, you just need to take your time and just be a little bit gentle. So that's pretty much the body off. Yeah. Now, just need to lay it on its side, like so. And then we've got all the cables and things in here that we need to disconnect. And once we've done that, we can take the bodywork away. Right, so that's all the rear cables disconnected. We need to disconnect all the front ones. Right, so that is now the bodywork completely separate. So I'm going to put the bodywork to one side and we'll concentrate on the lower dash at a minute. Right, so there are a few key things we're obviously going to need to get to. We need to get to the original circuit board. We need to get to all the wiring underneath here, and we also need to get to the back of the dash. So I'm going to start off by removing this trunk or boot section. Now, your reference for that one is going to be issue 67. And as you can see, that's where we installed those parts. So we've got 4 GM screws holding that in and 2 GM screws holding that part in. And then got these 2. Now I do believe that we don't reuse this cover for the mic lane install. And it's very good because if I was going to reuse it, I'd take this off. This is a bit of a nightmare when it comes to installing the body, and it's completely hidden. You don't see this fuel filler pipe at all. So even if you're doing the standard circuitry, etc., and you're building it as stock, I'd say remove that, because it is a bit of a pain trying to get that to go where it needs to go when you're putting the body on. And now we're going to go back a stage further to 66, and this is where we actually put the center in to the car. So again, you can see that we've got some GM screws there again, and I'm pretty sure we had some other connections here. So we've got some GM screws there for the steering. So start off with the 4 GM screws holding the bottom in. And as you can see, this is not the first mic lane mod for this car. We've also got the carpets in as well. So if you've not already got those as well, I would recommend heading over to Mic Lane's mods and checking out what other goodies he can offer. Now, I'm not going to be able to show this too much, but we do need to remove the screw holding the steering linkage together. So now we have all those screws undone. The center console can actually lift out. We do need to undo a couple of pipes, as you can see, all from the bulkhead, like that. So we've got all those separated, but we also need to take apart all the cabling as well. Now obviously we are replacing the entire board, so just unplug absolutely everything. But you do need to be careful, because I do believe that although Mike's got a lot of new electrics, we are reusing a lot of the original electrics as well. So the cabling and LED lighting, etc. And again, I'm going to have some slightly different wiring as well, because one, I've got the switch that I put in, and 2, I've also got the model mods screen connections as well. I believe that's all the wires disconnected. That's what that white wire is. That's the model mods wire. Right, so I just put that on one side, and if you remember, we had all these wiring going up through the bulkhead, so we just need to pull those out. Now I also have a power cable running up through, and that's going to the model mod screen, and that was one of my modifications to add power up there. Now I can't quite remember. I think there's a connector in here. Yes. So that one comes out as well. And again, my power mod that I've done is going to be no longer required. But as you can see, that is now the dash out as well. So I'm just going to put this to one side for a second, and we'll have a look at this part, because we're no longer going to need this circuit board. So that's the original circuit board out. And obviously with that, we don't need the watch anymore as well. Now I'm just going to check the mic lane instructions and see what we need to do at this point here. In fact, actually what I'll do first is I'm going to remove my power mod and my switch, just to make things a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier. And again, as I said, unless you've got something like this, you won't have this power mod or the switch. So that's my interrupt switch removed, and my very simple power mod. Now, the power mod that I do, very simple, just 2 wires coming off a DC jack, and then I split it off into however many connectors that I need. But as I said, no longer need that because we have the Mike Lane mod, which will include a power mod. All right, so we are now left with a bit of a sea of wires. Another thing I do know need to come out is this speaker, because Mike has given us a new one. I'll just keep those 2 screws with that. And then we can take the speaker out. It looks just like that. Now, I'll have to double check whether we need to still use this housing or not, or whether we just need to pull the speaker out of here or not. Right, so just looking at Mike's instructions, it does not look like we are reusing that housing. It looks like that just will sit in there. Right, so we're putting the speaker in like that, with the connector facing this way. And then we're going to secure it in with just that bracket. And as I said, we're not using the old speaker housing. Now, here is the brand new Alpha circuit, and it will just fit in the exact same footprint as the original board, just like that. And we're going to use the original screws to hold that in place. Obviously, being careful not to over tighten these or anything. You just want it so they're not loose. And we need to now attach our speaker, and that's going to go into the box labeled S. So we have that in there like that. And before we cover this all in wires, etc., we'll do a quick comparison with the Alpha circuit and the original circuit. And as you can see, that we do have all the similar sort of style connectors, and I believe that where Mike has used the original wiring, he's actually used the original lettering as well. And just realised that we actually don't put this bit in the same way we did before. So this is the original way around for fitting, but Mike has said we now need to fit it this way around. So with the opening facing the front of the vehicle. So that's now nice and secure in there. Now we need to do a few more wiring. So from the original wires, etc., we're going to plug them into the Alpha circuit. And as I said, we do have lettering convention. So we need to start off with the door switch wire, which is cable B. Find where that's gone. Right, so cable B. And as I said, we do have B on the diagram here. I do want to make sure that these go in the correct way around. They will only go in one round, but if you force them, they can go in the wrong way. So that's cable B, and the lettering has just fallen off on that one. We want the fog lights, which is R, and then we want the headlights, which is M, which is just there. We want the motor, which is this green and red one, the motor label has fallen off on this one. And again, we've got a matching MOT on the new alpha circuit. And then we want the overhead wires, which is K, and that's coming from here. Now, I've lost all of the layering from here, but not from here. So I need to make sure that I get the correct one, which I believe is just this black and white one, or black and red one. I do have K here, which is on a black and red wire. So that's going to go into here. Again, ensuring it goes the correct way around. And then we've got the tail lights, which are going to be E. And then we have the license plate cable, which is marked P. And we also have the W wire as well. All of those cables are now plugged in. So I'm going to put this to one side for the minute, and we'll concentrate now on the dashboard and the dashboard housing. Now, I have to say that at this point, Mike has given you really, really good instructions. He's taken the original instructions, so I'll just show you my tablet that I'm working from at a minute. So, preparing the dashboard housing, and as you can see, he's taken bits from the original magazines and telling you exactly where things come out now. So, if you're at this stage, then you could do everything from Mike Lane's disassembly. And obviously, if you're at a previous stage to this, then you can actually just do it as you build the car up. Now, I do believe that at the minute, KITT is no longer available. But obviously, if you do have one sat to the side and feeling a bit bored, it's always a good idea to disassemble a model and rebuild it, especially if you got a great upgrade from Mike Lane. So we also need to take this part of the dash out. So we're going to flip it over, and we have some BP screws to remove. Now, I believe we need to take this part off as well first. And I do believe these are BP screws as well. I would also say that when you've got parts like this, you could just put the screws loosely back where they go. So you don't always have to track them in a pill bar when you can do this. So you got those 3 screws safe like that. So we do need to take these 3 screws out to start removing the dashboard. And we've also got 2 here as well. So we'll start off with these 2. And these are BP screws. And we already have a pot for BP screws, so I'm just going to add to that one. Now, we do have all wiring under here, obviously. That goes to the dash. So we just need to undo the tape. And then feed those wires through the hole like that. And put that to one side. And now we have our dashboard. So just going to remove that bit of tape as well. Now we have a CP screw holding this side panel in place. Obviously, we do need to remove the LED from there. So that's that side out. Going to have another CP screw on this one. And again, just need to pull this LED out. A pair of tweezers will help you with that. Now these are marked left and right, so you know which way round they go back in. We have a BP screw now, just here. And the same on this side. And we have another screw just in the middle here. Which I believe is a CP screw. I'm just going to separate out the wiring here. And then we have that bit separated from this part. Right. Now, disassembly obviously doesn't stop there. We now have 2 CP screws in here. And then we have that lower dash panel that comes off. Now, I should point out that Mike's instructions are not fully comprehensive when it comes to disassembling this dash. So I've gone and grabbed issue 48, and we've got this part of the car to disassemble as well. And obviously this will keep track of our screws, etc. So we've got 3 BP screws holding this piece in place. Obviously, where I reference the magazine, I will let you know which issue I'm using. And where I don't reference a magazine, I'm using Mike's instructions. So that piece now comes loose, and we can flip it over, and we can take out these 2 screws here. We can put that to one side, we don't need that bit. And we have this part of the column. It's probably going to be easier just to take this out. That way you've got more access. So that's a BP screw. Again, if you've got the space, try and keep the parts together like this. And then when it comes to assembly, it's going to be easier as well. We need to take out this center piece here. And we've got several BP screws for that. Now, there was originally a piece just here. And again, that's different because I've got the Model Mods screen there. And we'll just take out the steering wheel completely, and it's out of the way. And this is also held in with just BP screws. Now, this is obviously not the first time I've taken this dash apart because of the Model Mods one. If you do want to see the Model Mods install, then there will be a link either above or below to show you that one as well. Right, so we've got that center section now out. Now, it does say we don't need some of the original cabling. Now, some of that cabling probably has already been removed because of the Model Mods mod. So we had 44E and 44F, which were labeled J and L. Now, I have a feeling that both of those potentially are gone. Nope, because that one is L. So we can remove L. Right, I'm going to remove the Model Mods screens because they need to come out anyway. So just pulling out those LEDs. Now, this is the original lower dash part. I believe we have a new one from Mike. This is the Model Mods part. So we're not going to be reusing that, so put that to one side. And we will now get rid of cable L. Might need to remove these as well first. And that's the original Model Mods screens. And again, not going to be reusing those. So they can also go to one side. Right, got cable G there. Remove that one for a minute. Right, so cable L, we've been told we're not reusing. So we need to take that one out. And cable L is that one. There's a green and yellow cable. We have 2 LEDs on the side, on the end. And then we've got cable J, which is this yellow and black cable. And that one's got 3 LEDs on the end. So again, that one gets removed as well. Now we do have the Mike Lane monitors as well. So we also need to remove cables G, H, and O. So this one is cable O. I think there's going to be very little of the original cables left in this dashboard. So that's cable O. And that's a red and black one, 2 LEDs, and that went into the startup sequence. So again, to one side. And we don't need H, which H has already been removed because that was the original lighting for the dashboard monitors. We don't need the lower dashboard here. That's marked as part 4C. So we don't need that one. Obviously, I don't have it because I had the replacement for model mods. And now we're left with a dashboard that looks like this at the moment. Now, all of this also needs to be removed because we have the new look dashboard from Mike Lane. Now, I'm pretty sure all these are BP screws. So we're removing 4E. We're removing 4F, which is this one. And to do that, we do need to disassemble this part of the dash even further. Now, you'll see that I've actually chromed the inside of these, and I put a bit of light diffusion in, and I also put in a bit of light blocking myself to make it look a little bit better. But that's nothing compared to what Mike has done. Right, we no longer need this section for the voice box. So that comes out as well, along with that. And as you can see, I did paint mine red to make it a little bit more like Series 1. So I believe that's now everything removed. Now, what I'm going to do is just take out these buttons a minute, because as you can see, I put a little bit of tape over the back of them. And that was so we could have it look like he was in Auto Cruise. So we'll put those ones back in because those, I believe, are going to be reused. Right, so we're really close to actually having a look at the new parts. I've just removed that screw there, so I can remove the entire steering wheel. So we've now got the button. We're only left with the buttons, and we're left with this dash pit here. Now there is one other thing that I do need to remove, and that is these bezels. Now these bezels are actually done by Model Mods, but again, Mike's supplied his own bezels. So we'll take those ones out. So we're now left with that. So now let's do a bit of a comparison. So we've got the absolutely brilliant Mike Lane mod dash, and then we've got the original dash. You can see this is also really, really bright, so it looks nice in the car when I guess it's off. But it also bled light like anything. So it all got washed out when you turn the lights on. Hence why I done a little bit of light blocking and light colouring. But that's nothing compared to what we've got from Mike. And again, if I just match up that dash panel as well, you can see that we've got a lot more going on there. Again, this was done probably for a long way away scale, and we've got a large display there and lots of different lettering and things like that. And again, I coloured the back of it to make a few more colours show up, because otherwise that was just a yellow glow pretty much on all of that. And also put chrome on the inside of these as well, just to diffuse the light a little bit more. But now we have this absolutely brilliant mod from Mike. I'll just compare the voice boxes there as well. So again, we've got a brand new voice box with all the new controls, and if we turn it over, you can see we've got lights, light holes for all the different controls, etc. that happen. So this is just going to slide in here. Now it is worth noting that the voice box does have these 2 points where the dashboard will slide in between the voice box and the dash display. And you want to be very careful when handling that, just in case you put too much pressure on it and it snaps or something. We're now going to put this piece in place, back where it was. Again, sliding this piece behind that voice box there. Actually, thinking about it, we probably don't want to do that because that's going to be in the way of putting the circuit board in. So we're going to leave that out for a minute. So we now need to prepare our circuit board actually. Now I'm keeping all these bits in the anti-static bags until I come to actually use them. And you want to handle them just on the edges. But that is our new circuit board for the dash, looking just like that. Now we do need some of our cables, so we'll pull those open. Now we have got this USB power cable, as I said, so it's USB-C to C. I probably won't use that because I don't think I've got any USB-C plugs, so I'll probably just use another USB-A to USB-C cable. Now we do have a few other wiring here. We've got a USB-C extension or adapter. And we have a few other cables here as well. And they're all neatly wrapped together with an elastic band. Now we've got several of these, they're all labelled, which is great. So we've got this one that says to scanner, so we're not using that one just yet. What we are interested in are ones that say to dash. So we've got that one that says to dash, and then this one says to alpha circuit. And we also have this one, also it says to alpha circuit, and we don't have anything on the other end. We have this one that's got to dash. And we've got this little connector here. I believe that goes to the scanner. And we also have this retaining arm as well that we need. And we do have some spare cables as well, presuming that's in case any of them break or you break any of them as you're installing this. So we're going to just connect up some of these cables now. So we've got the main cable as it's labelled. There's a to dash. Now you need to be careful when putting these in that you don't break them. So we've got that one in there, and that one's the to dash and to alpha. Then we've got cable 2, which is going to be the one that goes to the new scanner, which I believe is this one. Again, just make sure it's pushed fully home, and then they're not going to come out. And then we also have this piece in here, and this goes to the top lights, and it's labelled on their top as well. Now, should note that all of these do have a single grey cable, and they all point to the left. So if you've got the dashboard this way up, all the grey cables are on this side, which is the left side. So you know you're putting them in the correct way around. The other item we're going to grab out is this lower display or lower LED light control. And that's going to go into this one here. Now what we need to do, we need to just slide up this black piece, like so. And then we need to slide this in to the socket. So making sure that does go in all the way. You feel it, just stop. Don't force it in. Once it's in all the way, just going to make sure that's held in place. We just need to close that socket just by pushing down like that. So now we want to be placing this into the dash. Again, still being careful on how you handle this, especially now you've got this ribbon cable floating out here as well. So that's going to slot in behind the dash, like so, ensuring that everything lines up as it should. Actually, before we put that in, we do need to add this little bracket in. And that needs to sit in just like that. Okay, just make sure that dash is in properly. So we've got that in there like that. We're going to use a BP screw to secure that electronic dashboard. So with that in there like so, we need to take this piece and then we need to try and get everything all lined up, including obviously that going behind that bit of the voice box. Making sure not to trap any of these cables. And we're going to use a BP screw in here. I've just realised that we haven't put a BP screw in here. We need to put a BP screw in here for the dash as well. So dash electronics just going to get secured with BP screw there. And then a few more BP screws to hold that piece in we've just put back in place. Again, ensuring it all lines up. Put one in there first. That'll hold that piece in place. We've got that one in there. And then we've got this one going in here. So that's looking just like that. Now we need our startup panel. So we no longer have to use that piece. We're replacing it with this piece. Move those out of the way. So it goes with this piece facing the lights. It's going to go over those two lugs that we've got there. Right, just going to suggest a small update here. Take this bit and put it in before you secure this circuit board in place, because that'll give you the wiggle room to get that in. It's a very, very well made part, but it is a very, very tight fit. So you want to make sure that bit goes in, and you can have some wiggle room with the circuit board. And then we can secure the circuit board in place. And with that in place like that, while we've still got all this access, we're going to take this piece, the startup board, we're going to run it underneath that cable, I think, and we're going to place this, obviously being careful with the wire, over the top like so. So it's over those two holes, and then we're going to use 2 BP screws to hold that in place. And now that's in there, then I'm going to put this piece in. And again, just going to slide it up between that voice box and the rest of the dash. Line everything up and secure it with some BP screws. Right, so the next thing we need is our monitors. And we've got this flexible circuit board that needs to sit in here. Now, obviously, you want to be careful with this. This obviously is only a flexible ribbon cable. So you've got this piece that's going to push into that cavity just here, like that. And then we've got the rest of this that's going to go and flex in like so. Right, going to make another executive decision here, taking that out of the socket on that board. I think that's going to make it a lot easier to try and get this to go in. And it might be worth, at some point, Mike making a very small indent here for that cable to sit through. Because we basically need to push this panel, needs to push in and sit in like so. Obviously, it's going to push this cable all the way back like so and bend it. Definitely worth getting that end in first. And then getting this pushed all the way in. So we then end up with something that looks like that. We've got the cable poking out like that. And then with it like that, we can obviously place that back into that socket. Again, making sure it goes in all the way, and then just push down on that retaining tab. Right. We now need this cable, which only has 2 alpha written on it. And that's going to plug into this socket just here. Obviously, we are now attached to the dash, so you want to be careful with that. I'm going to be placing it in this way around. So the grey cable is furthest over to this side. So we're now going to be fixing these into place. So just again ensuring that that ribbon cable is in place. You're going to place the monitors in. And it's just a case of lining it all up with the original posts. Again, you don't want to use excessive force or anything with this. If it's not going in, then something's probably not lined up quite right. Right, so now those screens are in, I just need to secure it with a couple more screws. And again, these are the original BP screws that are holding the previous parts in place. So that's looking just like that. Now, what we need to do is basically rebuild the lower part of this dash. Right, so now we're going to start doing a bit of reassembly. and obviously making sure that these cables are out of the way. Now, so we still do have one original cable in the dash, which will light up these two parts. So I'm going to start off by replacing this. So we're going to have all our cables routed underneath that again. And we've got some more BP screws, obviously securing that back into place. Now this is just a case of now following the magazines and putting the parts we have here back together. Now there is one more BP screw actually, but we can't get to it because of the monitors there. So we will have probably one or two spare by the time we finish with this. Now I probably won't make you watch the entire dash reassembly. If you want to see how the dash goes back together, then obviously you can look at the previous video of me assembling the dash. But it is all pretty much as the magazines show you. So with those parts we're putting back in, we'll put that part back in. We're going to put the steering column back in as well. And then we'll come back to this when it's fully assembled. Right, so we're now at next day. I'm doing this over a couple of days, just because it was actually my birthday yesterday. So I had several other plans other than just playing with this, as much as I wanted to do all this in a day. But as you can see, I've now got the dash all back together, all installed. That again, just an absolute standard install. So with all the cabling, etc., and the BP CP screws, all the screws along the front here. The only real difference is obviously we've still got the cables coming out of this hole, and we've stuck them back down. But obviously we've got the mic lane cables there as well now. Obviously they substitute some of the other cables that were coming out of there previously. We do have this cable here. Mike's instructions do say it comes out of the driver's side area, so I think he means that, but we'll find out when it comes to assembly. There was no picture to say where that cable comes from, but it certainly won't go underneath. But I'm fairly sure it will come here, and then we can plug the scanner cable in. That will come from the nose cone into this bit, because all the other wires that come up from here will all come up through here as well. So I'm sure that'll be there. So now it's basically just a case of reinstall this onto the car. Before I do that though, I will take you through a couple of other bits that I've done. So we've got this splitter cable that goes into the side lights. So that runs along the center here and comes out here as well. So that's the front side lights, rear side lights is going to go off that way. We had two other extension cables that we needed to plug into the 2 points here, which say tail and rev. So we've got tail, rev, and side all plugged in there. It is worth noting that we did have other extension cables. Still got this one. I'm not sure where that one's going to be used at the moment. It might be one of these or something. But when I was looking through these cables, I realised that Mike had introduced another extension cable in this kit for that E cable. So that E cable's now been extended. So that will now fit out this way, no problem. I might still need to pull this back a bit because that's quite a lot of slack wire there at the minute for the tail lights. We only need them to come out this far, like we did with the original wiring, which all of that is. So although there's an extension cable there, I might need to tuck it back this way a little bit, just so the wires all meet here, and then you're not going to have too much of an issue when it comes to putting the car back together and trying to hide all of this wiring. Now, full disclosure, I have connected these things up, and I have actually done a bit of a test. So I do know it's all working when I come to put it back together, because this is probably a really good point to test all the things. So you've got the dash here, obviously not too arduous to disassemble this, and it's possible to test it all, plug it in, etc. When you start this up for the first time, it will start talking at you, and it will ask you to press buttons on the remote control, it'll start pairing the controls with this alpha circuit. And it's only a case of, it'll say press 1, press 2, press 3, etc. And you just press the corresponding button and it'll pair up all the controls for you. Again, there are instructions on Mike's website, tell you all about that. And there's ways to start from the beginning, etc. One thing to note in the instructions is the brake light or brake pedal is an important feature. It looks to be what Mike's using as a reset switch, a Wi-Fi switch, and various other things to allow you to control the alpha circuit once the car's all together. So you do need to make sure that you have that working brake switch, and you can probably just about hear that mine is working and clicking perfectly, and that's the one that was in here. So you do need to make sure that the cable for the brake switch is there as well, which I want to say possibly this I think this is the D cable. Can't actually remember which cable it is, but it's going to be one of those. So now we're at a point where we're going to be able to install this again. Obviously, as we did in the original install, we need to make sure the wires are all out of the way. Even obviously the new ones that we've added in. And we do need to make sure that these wires are all going up through this hole and out this bulkhead like we did before. So again, this is just standard install section, so I will skip through it, and if you need to see how this all goes back together, you can watch the original video for this install. But ultimately, all the wires need to come through that hole, up through the dash. This goes back in. We secure it with the GM screws again. We need to secure the steering linkage back with another couple of GM screws, and that's about it. Now, as I said, I'm pretty sure, I need to double check the instructions, but I'm pretty sure I saw that we don't use this piece anymore, and I think we just put the boot lining over. Now, one thing I'm going to do, just before I secure this all down, I am going to connect all the cables, just to make sure they're not trapped, right length, and they can reach to all the different bits that need to. Now, also we've got the two new cables here from Mike Lane, say 2 alpha circuit. So we've got the monitors and we have the dash. So both of those will go into the connections. We've got one here that says monitors, and the dash one is just in here. And then the rest of them are going to be conventional cables. So we've got F, V, I, and D there, and they are all going to go into the corresponding sockets on here. Mike has left all the normal convention naming in place. So we do have D going into a D socket, V going into a V socket, I going into an I socket, and F going to an F socket. So that has made it really, really simple, and it's just a case of, again, same with the original board, just plug them in to the corresponding places, and then all will be fine. Right, so that's the interior all screwed back into place, all the cables connected. We've obviously got these cables here as we normally would. We have these cables here at the side that we normally would as well. We do have this additional cable here, which is for the side marker lights. And we've got these 2 additional cables as well for the reverse lights and the tail lights. I believe they're the new tail lights that are being added. So I'm just going to have all of those come over this way. Now, it might be worth labeling these so that you know which is which, because they're all the same plugs at the moment on there. Before we finish with the lower part here, we've got the little dash bezels, and they're just self-adhesive, and they're going to go into where the dash monitors are. just peel off the backing. Make sure we got it the right way up. We've got this curved section which matches the curved section of the dash itself. And just make sure you don't get any fingerprints over the inside of the dash. And then we can pop that just in there, like so. Looking pretty good. Now, I do like the fact that even when it is off, it looks 10 times, well, probably 100 times better than what we had originally. So that is absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this to one side, and then we'll bring up the body and start preparing that to have the Mike Lane additional mods. And obviously we need to add in the scanner, the side lights. Now I need to remove my original mod, so I'll show you a little bit of that as well, just to say what I'm doing. Obviously if you don't have any mods for side lights and things like that, you won't have that. But let's get this out of the way and bring the body up. Right, so here is the body, and we do need to do a little bit of modification on it. First thing we're going to do is flip it over. Now obviously what we need to do, we need to access front scanner, we need to access the front wings, and we need to access the side marker lights, which are just behind the front wings. And say I need to take my original modification out, because as you can probably just about see, I do already have some wires going to my side marker lights, same with the rear as well. We need to access the rear wings as well, so that remote takes all this out. Now I am going to take this top panel out, just because I've said I'm going to take the seat belts out. They just look untidy, so I am going to remove those. The other thing I'm going to do is fix the door lock pin. So we've got these door lock pins from Mike as well, and you can probably just about see on this camera here that this one has actually snapped off completely, and that just happened by me shutting the door. So that now no longer latches, as you can see. So we've now got the stainless steel door pins that are going to replace that as well. So when I have this side wing off, I can replace that one. Obviously, we'll replace both of them, but that's the broken one there. I'm going to start off by removing the inner wheel arches. I think that was the last things that we actually put on. Now, a lot of this bodywork, etc., doesn't need to be removed, just to get to these rear marker lights. You can get to them with all this trim panel still in place. I will remove the rear bumper though. And the reason I'm removing the rear bumper is because I took my feed from the rear license plate, and as you can see, I've actually put in my own LED there. And so we've got two GM screws holding the side markers in place. And it's just a case of undo those. Now, obviously, this is not the only mod that's happening to the rear of the car. We do need to tackle the rear lights as well, because we now have additional LEDs for the reverse lights and for the just general rear lights. Now, to make things easier, I am going to take that back panel off as well, because we're going to need to anyway. So now that that's out, we can take this section out as well, and we actually need to drill a couple of holes in the back of this to accept the new LEDs. And then that also gives us access to this back section here, and as you can see, these are the original marker lights that I created, along with an LED for the number plate light, which has actually broken since trying to get it out. So that's something that I need to fix, because I don't think I've got the original P LED. Now we've got two sets of red LEDs in the kit, And what you're going to want is the one with the longer gap between the LEDs. As you'll see, there is one that's got a shorter gap between LEDs as well. As you can see, like that. So it's the one with the longer gap between the LEDs. So it can obviously span that side like that. You're going to want the connector on this side. Now, actually, what I'm going to have to do, because I've got these new door pins, I need to take the side wings off, because you can't get to the door pin connector without having the side wings off. So I do need to take out this internal assembly. So I'm going to get all this taken apart, and then I'll come back to you once that is done, and I'll show you the door lock pins. Now, I'm not going to take you through the whole teardown and everything of the other wing, just because the magazines will help you tear these machines apart, and also it'll be a very, very long video. It's probably already a very long video, to be fair. Right, but what we're interested in is the side panel here, and as you can see, the door lock pin actually has snapped on this one, and to replace that, we just need to remove the screw holding that stub in. It will hopefully remove. Tip that bit out, which, as you can see, is completely snapped. Get our new lock pins. Again, get a little nice card, and it shows a little QR code there for hints and tips to assemble. Obviously, these are going to be fairly straightforward. We've got a door lock pin, we have a screw. It does look like Mike's supplied a spare screw, just in case you lose one. But that is the pin, as you can see there. And we have a screw. Put that to one side. And the fitting is just going to be exactly the same as the original. So we've got this keyhole shape pattern. Mike's kept with that keyhole shape. I'm just going to line that up, hold it in there, grab our screw, and just secure that in place. So that's our new stainless steel door lock pin in place. Now, obviously, if you have built the model up this far, there is quite a lot of work, obviously, to disassemble the rear section here to get that door lock pin in. But if yours are snapped, probably worth doing it. So I'm just going to put that rear wing back in, because we don't need the wing off anymore. I'm going to do the exact same thing for this one and put the other door lock pin in as well. Right, so just need to do a quick voiceover here, because my microphone actually died whilst recording this. But now turning our attention to the rear marker lights. So I've put all this lot back together, put the roof panels in, put the side panels in, etc. I've left them in so you can see that by just doing the marker lights, you can do it without having to disassemble the entire rear section. I just took the rear section apart, obviously, because I needed to get to the wings so the door pins could be put in. But we've just got these marker lights. We've got the internal part of the marker lights, you can see, and we're just going to add the LED into that point there. And then it's just a case of reassemble it as it was. So we're just going to put that onto the two pins, and we're going to use the two GM screws to hold that in place. Right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. We're just going to get our secondary marker light. We're going to trace the new cable around the back of the boot section and take the LED to the other side where the other marker light is. And again, I'm just going to place that in the little marker point. The wire does actually come out facing the front of the vehicle. But again, just going to be held in by the two GM screws. And now with the marker lights in, we're going to turn our attention to the rear of the car, and we're going to change these rear lights. Now what we need to do, we need to make 4 new holes in this lights. So where the reverse lights are and the new tail lights are going to be. You obviously notice that I've blacked this out and actually made the chrome part quite black as well. So when it goes together, you can't really see through it, which is more accurate to the TV show. Previously, you could have seen that chrome quite clearly through the black there. So I've really heavily tinted this. It doesn't have very little, it has very little effect on the LEDs themselves when they're on. So we just now need to drill these holes out. They need to be a 3mm hole. And just going to put them on a bit of wood and drill through from the back. Okay, so the holes have been drilled in this LED bar. I did, however, find a bit of an issue. Now, you'll notice on this one that the post there, when that was inside there, the LED actually fouled against the post and the LED bar wouldn't go back far enough to allow the lens to go on. So you'll notice now that that LED actually sits all the way in. The way I've achieved that, and I've suggested this to Mike, is that when you drill the hole, drill the standard 3mm hole as you normally would, and then use a file and basically just taper the hole to the point that the LED will sit much further in and it will sit flat against that silver piece. So that way you can just bend the cables right the way down and the LED won't foul against the body mounting post anymore, and the bar will sit all the way to the back without any issue, and the lens can then go on there as well. Right, so got all that back in place. We've got the side markers in place. We've got the rear panel in place as well. Sorry about the voiceover just a minute ago because, as I probably explained, that my microphone died, so I hadn't realised that it wasn't recording sound. But I'll probably skip over quite a lot of what I was saying. And I've now just created my new P cable for the LED there that I've replaced. I had to create a new one because I can't seem to find the original, but that's all fine. So I'm now at a point where I'm going to install the rear bumper again. And again, this is just a standard install, making sure that all the cables, etc., new cables, are all out of the way. And just going to replace that back on there and install it with the 4 screws that I removed. Final thing to do for the back is just to put these rear wings in. Again, watching out for all the cables and things. So that's now the rear section all fully redone. Obviously, when you do it, if you're just doing the Mike Lane dash mod, you probably don't even need to remove these rear wings because you can just about get to the 2 screw holes that are there for these side marker lights. So something to keep in mind if you are just doing the mod. Obviously, if you're doing the door pins, then all that needs to come out anyway. So now we're going to move on to the front of KITT. So what we need to do, we also need to take off the front nose cone so we can get to that scanner. I believe we might only need to take off the driver's side wing, be able to run the cables along here. I don't think we need to take this one off because I think we can get to the marker light fairly easily without having to take that one off. Now to take the front scanner off, we've got 2 screws holding it from here, and we've got a single screw holding it here, and then the whole scanner section nose cone will come off. And again, worth making sure that you can organise your screws as well. Whether that's you keeping track of them as you undo bits, BP, CP, M, GM, etc. screws, or whether you just put them in a logical order. Whichever way you do it, as long as you know which way they go back, whatever works for you. And it's probably worth noting that I only had one screw in the side here, mainly because you can't really get to the other screw because of all the cabling. So as you can see, that's the nose cone section off. Obviously we've got the cables all routing through here at the minute. I'm just going to undo this light lens that's on the back here. So that's now out, and you'll notice that I've actually painted the back of this black. Reason for that is because you could see the silver when you had the engine cover open. Now it does look like I am going to have to remove the wing because it looks like I've put the LED around one of the bolt holes. So not the end of the world. Right, so that's our wing out. And we're just going to take that LED out like that. And then I'm going to do the same for this side. Just take out all those screws. Because this is the wing where all the wiring does run, so we do definitely need to take this one off. And again, as you can see, I'm just keeping the screws in an order rather than finding out which screw is which. Obviously, if you had the instructions to hand, then you can work backwards to disassemble this and keep your screws organized into the individual items. But that's the wing off, and it's only held on by 4 screws. The wing itself is only held on by 4 screws, plus I think this little bracket goes through. So as you can see here, we've got the light bracket again. Now we just need to take the 2 screws out the back. And again, if you don't have this mod in already, you won't have any LEDs there. So I'm going to place the wing to one side. And we can now obviously start having a look at the wiring of this. Because ideally we want this to be taken away. We obviously don't need the scanner anymore. I need to take the wiring out just because I've got these surplus LEDs now, which are no longer required. But I'm going to get the rest of this taken apart and prepared for the next step for installing Mike Lane's mods. Right, so I've removed the front nose section completely, as you can see. I've just undone the 2 screws that were holding the wire brackets in place. I've just undone 2 of them, and as you can see, just spun them around so the cabling comes free. Now, what we need to do is basically disassemble more of this. So I'm going to disassemble the brackets and mounting hardware, because we want to get back to this scanner section. And we've got the scanner wire just there. And we can undo all of this. So that's the original LED circuit board that we had. Put that to one side. Now we're going to disassemble this even further, because we need to remove the red light lens. So that now gets removed. And then we can just place this back like that. Right, so now we need to take our new scanner, and you'll see that I've got the cable plugged in there already. So this one says to scanner and the other one is blank. So I'll plug that in. So the grey cable on this one is towards the top where all the LEDs are. And so with that in place, we want to line this up. And again, we're going to need to flex this board like we did the original one. So just pushing a little bit on the circuit board to give it a bit of flex. And getting one of the screws started. And then line up the second one. And get that one in there as well. So that's in there. So now pretty much the rest of it is now reassembly as per the instructions. So we've got the new Mike Lane mod in there. We don't have the red scanner, as you can tell. So that's a spare part now. We don't need it anymore. And then everything else pretty much going to assemble the same way. We do have this useful hole in this one. So we need that to go like so. And then again, just install that back panel. And again, I'm not going to show you the full reassembly of this. I've obviously done videos of the standard install and assembly. So I'm just trying to show you the bits that you need to do to get to the parts where you need to install the Mike Lane bit, and then obviously the install of the Mike Lane mod itself. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to remove these LEDs that I put in place because they're no longer needed. And then we'll look at the next stage of putting the next part in, which would be the side lights for the Mike Lane mod. And I'll remove my own ones. Right, so now that's all reassembled, and I've removed the two LEDs that I had added, and I've resoldered these back together. It should be pointed out actually that I don't think you need to remove any of this lower panel section if you're just doing the Mike Lane scanner there. You can get to all the screws easy enough and take all that out without having to remove this lower section. So something worth noting. I've only had to remove those because I needed to get to the LEDs that I'd put in. Right, so that's all reassembled. We've obviously got the scanner light in there. I've replaced the two, well, I've taken away the two LEDs that I did have in there. I think, although Mike's instructions say about removing this lower panel, if you're only doing the scanner and you don't have to remove any of the LEDs, you probably don't need to remove this section. You can just get away with just removing all of this section and putting Mike's new circuit board in there. So we've got all the cables running across here, and we now are at a point where we're going to leave the nose cone alone, and we're going to be placing the new LEDs in for the side marker lights. Now, the one we want to use first is the one that's closest to the connector. So we've got this one. We're going to get our reflector, and we're going to put the LED just in there like we did the other one. Sandwich that in. And we'll get that screwed back together. So we've got that LED in there like so. Now what we need to do is just untangle these two cables a second, like that. And what we're going to have one cable running off this way, and that's going to go across the nose to the other LED. But with the longer cable, we're going to route that over the wheel arch, and we're going to pop this cable through this hole on the side of the car, and we're going to route it across here where we've got the white cable for the switches. Now obviously we want to make sure that we don't trap any of these cables when doing this, and we're at a position where we can put this wheel arch, or this panel, back in place. Right, so that's that one in place. So we've got this cable here, And we're just going to tuck it in with the switch cable. I'm just going to leave it there with those two switch cables. And then this one we need to route across here. Now we can route it through this nose cone, I think, or somewhere along here. Let's think about this a little bit. Right, I think what we can do is we can route it along with the motor cable there and the other headlight cable. Right, so now we've got that cable routed there, we've got this one here. We're at a position where we can now turn our attention to the driver's side wing. And we're going to take our marker light again and sandwich it in there and reattach. So we've got that attached to there. We need to bring the nose cone up as well. And we're going to obviously trace all of these cables through here before we put this front wing on. So you need to pop that cable through there for the front fog lights. We also got our new scanner light cable as well. That's going to pop through that hole as well. I want to ensure that all these other cables are fed back through that hole if they've come out. And once we've got all those back in place, making sure they're feeding through these posts, we can reattach the cable posts, the cable markers or holders. So we've got all the cabling running down the wing like we did before. And then this is where we need to do all the same reassembly, starting with the wing. And again, ensuring that all these cables are out of the way at these screw holes, especially this one. This is the one that's really going to matter because we've got all these cables here and they sort of fall in between those two posts. Right, so that's the front section all back together. So again, standard install for putting the wing on, putting the bumper on with those 4 screws at the front there and that one in the middle. And obviously the screws that hold all the wing etc. on have been restored. Just need to make sure that all these cables are not fouling against the headlight there, which as you can see, we are absolutely fine. It still bounces back down, which is great. If you're having any issues with your headlights coming back down, it's more than likely going to be this one, and it's because a wire or something is too tight across the light there, preventing it from coming all the way down. But as you can see, that's springing back down without a problem. Now, I'm at a point where, obviously, this whole body now can go back on the chassis. The only thing I'm going to do first beforehand, and I'm not going to show you guys, is I'm going to test it all with the body next to the chassis. There is, of course, something else we need to do first, which is put the boot lining back in place. And just remembering we're not using that part anymore. Right, so we've got the boot lining in place. Got the 4 GM screws holding that down. And got these cables all connected up. These are the ones that come from the microlane board. These are the new cables we have. So for tail lights, reverse lights, and side lights. It might be worth labeling these or marking them in some way, because obviously once that's in there, you can't tell which one's which, because they are just all black and grey cables. From this side, you can still see which one goes where, so it might be worth labeling those. And I might even suggest to Mike, when it comes to doing the kit, to maybe add those labels in as well. He's obviously labelled a lot of the other cables, so I don't think it's going to be too much to put those labels on as well. The next thing, obviously, we got all these connectors here to connect up, and they're just going to connect as they normally would, and you've seen that before anyway. Moving on to the front, we've got, again, new cable hooked up. This is the side light cable that runs from the back through the center of the car and then comes up here. All the other cables are standard apart from this one, which is the scanner light, and that's just going to plug into this little connector here. Again, you want to make sure it is the correct way around, correct way up, etc. And I found that with these connectors, if you just touch them together like this, you can see that that just slides in really nice and easily. Okay, it's not connected yet, but you can see it slides in. If you try it the other way up, if I can get it the other way up, so this is the wrong way, and you can see it doesn't slide in like it did a minute ago. So that gives you a good indication that you've got it the right way up. So once that's sort of slid part way in, you want to push that in fully so it's nice and secure there. Now all of this lot is going to hide down behind here along with these cables as well. Now we do need to plug all those together. And the way we did this last time, we just had the car on its side like this, cable them all together, and then we'll get the body on as well. Now, I'm not going to show you that process because I've done it previously, and you can see the last video that I did where I did finish KITT and put it all together. But that's all I'm going to do now. Put the body back on, put the side skirts back on, and screw it all together using the XM screws, and we are done. And then it's going to be a case of run through the electrics and see that everything still works once we put this together. Now, as I said, I am going to do a quick test before I end up putting the body on, but I am going to do that off camera because I'm going to leave the big reveal until the very end. Right, so there we are. The Mike Lane Ultimate Electronic Kit for KITT is now fully installed. And as I said, I have tested this. I will do probably a close-up video with my phone in a bit to show you a little bit more closer detail. But I have to say, it is a really, really epic mod. So we get all the normal startup, get all the sounds, and we even get door sounds as well now. So we get door sounds opening and closing, which is great. We get KITT just talking randomly if you just leave it in this mode, I believe. We got various dash modes. So these are all the different things we can do with the remote control. We've got one which is power up, just to stand by and power on. And as you can see, when it's in this mode, it does various random things. You've also got a mute option, so you can mute it if you want to.
Are you all right? I took the liberty of scanning your vital signs. Your blood pressure is 190/120 and your pulse is 104. Trucker short.
But we can go through the different cruise modes and things. So we've got the lights on the dash that are lighting up. Again, I'm going to show you little bits of this with my phone. So I'll just go through a couple of things that are happening at a minute. We've got KITT and car we can do on free.
Michael, this is all very confusing. This sounds awfully dangerous.
Oh, that's actually goes through all the different speech
Michael,
runs.
there's a car following us.
We've got the scanner function on number 4, so we can do scanner on and off. 5 will cycle through different types of scanner. All very, very good. We can do music with number 6. And we can cycle through different modes. We can do radio and things like that. I have attached this to my Wi-Fi, so it gets internet radio and things like that. We've got 7, which does the various lighting configurations. Now just cycle through. And then number 8, we've got for the rear lights. Now we can cycle through all the different functions there, brake lights, etc. 9 is presentation mode.
I'll show you what I have available.
And that will do various things on the dash, and I think it will go through various cycles of lights, etc., and all the scanner functions. Number 10, we can switch between kit and car. 11 will mute it, and then while it's in this mode, you've got 12 that will save your settings as well. So however you've got it set up now, it will do it the next time you turn it on. So in this case, it will stay as car. Now, we'll see with the front lens here, we do have these little lenses. So as well as these lenses, the LEDs actually do change color as well. So these are actually in yellow at the minute, and obviously you can accent that with the yellow version of this. And if I just press number 10 again to switch it back to KITT, you can see that the lights do change back to red. So there is a clear lens in there as well, so you could actually use the clear as well. And that just is hot swappable. It will just pop in there. And then we got number 1 that will just power it down again and go through the power down sequence. That is one absolutely fantastic mod. Right, so one thing KITT's going to need, after I've had all my fingerprints all over it, is a good clean and polish again. This is currently in standby mode, and you can see the door still activates the footwell lights. And you can just about see we've got a blinking light just there. That indicates it's in standby mode, but you can just about probably see that there's one on the top there as well. I just cover that over. And I've got here the 200 mile an hour display. You can get a 0 mile an hour one as well, so that if that's a preference for you. And that also goes with this as well, with the RPM. This is the full startup sequence. You can see that the monitors are in there, displaying all sorts of things. And as I say, if I leave this now, it will do, I guess, a little bit of a demo. But he'll randomly speak and do things. Also, I saved the original settings, so you'll see that when it turned on this time, the headlights haven't popped up. So it does remember what settings you have it set on. Same with the scanner light and things like that as well. So side
Are you
lights,
all right? I took the
rear
liberty of
lights.
scanning your vital signs. Your blood pressure is 190 over 120 and your pulse is 104. What is it, Michael? Trucker shorthand brutalizes my vocabulary banks.
If we go through, you can see
Michael, this is all very confusing.
KITT's voice box there.
This sounds awfully dangerous.
And if we do switch it to car,
You may call me Car.
you can see that we have
You need me.
the yellow
What is that
showing up.
voice? Speech is actually the least remarkable of my functions.
And then we can switch back to KITT as well.
Michael, I thought I'd never see you again. Michael, there's a car following us.
Now the LEDs are in slightly different places, so depending on how I angle the camera,
The car of the
you can
future
see
is already here. Me.
how different the red looks and the yellow looks depending on the angle. So it's not the KITT is duller than car, it's
You
just,
may call me Car.
just the angle, I think, of the phone.
I thought I'd never see you
Yeah,
again.
that's a better angle that you can see both of them. But this is the finished dash and display. Looks
As Michael would
absolutely
say,
fantastic.
Thanks, pal.
And obviously we've hooked up all the previous LEDs and things, so all those are still working as they would do. Same with the center console, lights up as well. But the biggest thing with this is the dash and the brand new scanner. And again, we can just cycle through different modes.
My remote monitors seem to be malfunctioning.
But I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other things that I can't show you just on a video. I could probably spend an hour just going through this and not show you absolutely everything. But it's really got the dash that KITT always deserved now. Looking absolutely fantastic. One other thing I'll show you is the different cruise modes and dash modes.
My sensors did.
So you can see that the auto, pursuit, etc. all changes, and the RPM, lighting, etc. all changes, and then it will go off. Then we can cycle through again. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to hit the like button below and give us a massive thumbs up. So that is KITT done. Again, with that absolutely epic mod. Mike, you have really outdone yourself. It looks absolutely fantastic. And I'm really loving the new scanner. All the different effects and things that it can do. It's absolutely amazing. Obviously, the absolutely brilliant dash mod with all the blinking lights, etc. That is really what KITT needed to really bring up the detail in there. It does look fantastic. I'm sure every time I look in there, the monitors are doing something new that I haven't seen before. I don't know how many different voices and screens, etc. you've put in there, Mike, but it is certainly a brilliant showpiece. Now, obviously, if you do want to do this for yourselves, hopefully I've shown you that it's not impossible if you've got a completed model to retrofit it and take your model apart. Yes, it is quite a bit of work, as you've probably seen, but it's not impossible, and it's not really that difficult. If you take it step by step, follow the instructions that you had originally, just in reverse order, you've seen that you don't have to disassemble every single stage. So a lot of it is that the body, you basically just need the three sections: the body, the middle, and the chassis. There's very little to do on the chassis apart from running that extra cable for the side lights. And then when it comes to the central part with the interior, obviously you do need to take the dash off and get to all the back of the dash. And again, I think we built that up in issue 4, and then a little bit beyond that. But it's only mainly a single type screw, BP screw, that uses most of that together. And there's a CP screw or 2 as well. So really, when you're taking it apart, you don't have to catalog your screws too much either. They do all go together pretty well. Once you've got an empty dash, just put the microlane bit back in, put it all back together, feed the cables back through the floor pan, and you're pretty much ready to reassemble again. And then with the bodywork, obviously I've had to disassemble the rear quite a bit just to get those door lock pins in. Again, another fantastic thing by Mike. He saw there was a problem and obviously come up with a solution for that. When mine snapped was actually when I put KITT together on the final day. Rolling it back over, the door slammed shut and it actually snapped the pin at that point. So a very good point to keeping your doors taped together there. Obviously, when putting the body on, you do need those doors open. But yeah, if you're going to tip it back over, tape up the doors. Or get Mike's brilliant lock pins, which will not snap easily. They're stainless steel and they will probably last many, many door openings and closings. Another thing to say is with Mike, he did also send us the extension cables. If you've got a body that you're putting together and you find the cables are a little bit short, a bit tight, then go over to Mike's website and grab some extension cables. That'll just give you that little extra length so you can have the body a little bit further away, make those connections a little bit easier. The other obviously thing we did with the body is we had to take the front nose cone off and fit the scanner there. It is worth noting that the scanner is available as a separate item, so you can have just the scanner if you wanted that without all the dash mod and the side lights, etc. And again, your disassembly will be a lot less. But you don't even need to disassemble the one of the wings really to fit the marker light in. I had to because I had my marker light in and it happened to be wrapped around one of the posts. It does make it a little bit easier. Obviously, actually, you do need to take it off because we've now traced the cable along here and across to the driver's side, or the other way around. So we do have a wire running in that wing. So the wings do need to come off, but as you can see, they only held on by 4 screws, I think it was. So again, not a difficult process to take those off to fit those side marker lights. And the rear ones, you don't even have to take the wings off to do those marker lights. And you don't even need to disassemble the rear boot section. I only did it because of those door lock pins. And that's pretty much it for the body. So take it step by step, do it in sections. Now the instructions that Mike's given, he's got all the prep work at one point, and then he's got all the install part at the next point. But if you just flick between the two, do the prep work on the chassis, do the prep work on the main body, do the prep work on the interior, and then do the installs, so one after the other. Obviously, the other thing we did with the body, but slight modification, we need to drill those rear lights out just to add the reverse lights and those extra tail lights. But that is KITT done and looks absolutely fantastic. Now, if I didn't have mute on here, KITT would be saying all sorts of phrases and what have you and making noises, etc. And I think that's really, really good. Certainly if you've just walked into the room or something like that and he starts talking at you, it's quite a unique little thing. It gives you a little bit more autonomy with KITT without having to press buttons and things. But having the remote control, obviously useful as well. I know we had the watch originally, which cycled through the various different things, but most of it was just on, off, and the voices. But now KITT does so much more. And again, with the light configuration as well. And I do like the fact that you can save the settings you got. So once you got to a point where you're happy with what everything it does, you can hit the number 12 and save all the settings. And whether that's you want it in KITT or car mode, whichever you like, or flip between the two whenever you like. But Mike, as I said, you've outdone yourself. It looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for sending it to me. And I'm sure I will be getting a lot more things from you in the future. If you want to see anything else that goes in the workshop, if you want to see any more Mike Lane mods, check some out on my page. I've already got some there. But make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications, and then you'll see what other videos I release. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.